going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And as you can see, the garage is looking a little empty. I have the H2 that I'm doing the carbon build on right now, right there. And then I have the MT10 back over there. And that's all of the bikes in the garage. So I sold most of my motorcycles. When I say most of my motorcycles, I sold 2 motorcycles. So I sold the BMW and I sold the 2016 H2. I took a little bit of time off of YouTube just because I was doing it so much with working a ton. It was just a full-time job. So basically I decided to get down to 3 bikes, which is the H2 here, the MT FZ10 back here, and my Turbo Busa that's almost done. That'll be right around 500-600 horsepower Turbo Busa. So I'm gonna focus on these bikes. I was going too many different directions and build these bikes up. I also bought a car to make content with, so you guys will be seeing that very soon. If you're on my Instagram, you've already seen that. But today we are gonna be starting the carbon build on that, which actually I did a bunch of stuff to this bike already. Filmed it, screwed up. I did it in 360 video, so I kind of screwed that up. But I did stage 3 supercharger gears to it. I did a Jagerworks intercooler to it. I did TurboSmart blow-off valve to it, and I pinned the ECU for the Woolwich software to flash it for the stage 3 gears. Now this bike is going to be getting H2R cams in it later on, but I'm going to wait until I get the Busa back so I have something to make content with when this one goes out. Also, it's like 30 degrees out and I have to have my garage door closed, so sorry if there's an echo, guys, but that's why there hasn't been riding content coming, because it's wintertime here in Ohio. But we're gonna go ahead and do the side panels and the front fender and these little pieces down in here. I've got all that laid out up here in carbon fiber. This is all from Moto Composites, so that is the side, left and right, the front fender, and these 2 little pieces that go on the sides, which later on they are going to be replaced when I do wings on this bike. It's just that's going to be the last thing I do. So I'm going to do the front end first, then I'm going to come back and do the back end. I've already got the entire tail section and the rear fender in carbon fiber as well. And then the video after that will be this all in carbon fiber. And I believe I'm just going to go ahead and remove these. I don't really like them because if you can see, that bracket is very close to the Van Diemen, and I even had to notch it so it wouldn't rub the Van Diemen. And I don't think this does a whole lot. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove that completely, and that'll let the whole Van Diemen be shown. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start ripping the side panels off and get this thing tore apart. All right, so these are pretty easy to get off, to be honest with you guys. It's a 5mm Allen in here. The other ones are 3mm all the way around. And then underneath here, there is a little push pin. Just use a little flathead to get to, pretty easy. Comes off pretty easy. I've just got this setting up here. I just wanted to show you guys that in here, that is your hoses to your coolant reservoir. Yours will not have this T-fitting and everything on it that mine does, because that's all for the intercooler on it, unless your bike does have a Jagerworks intercooler. Go ahead and pull this off. Yeah, see your coolant reservoir down in there. You just unhook it right there and tilt it up, make sure that it's not gonna spill everywhere. With all this disconnected and removed, always keep an eye on this little grommet. This guy likes to run away. See how mine's kind of pushed back? Try to get it back into that hole so you don't lose that, because that is one of the mounts for this. A nipple comes off of the fairing and goes into that. Another thing is, this is a good look at the heat exchanger for the intercooler on these bikes. These things get very, very hot when you add more boost, and I mean even stock, so this helps a lot. That's the heat exchanger, runs up under the tank and it's built into the plenum. Very, very nice unit. Shout out to Travis Yeager for getting me that. So now that you have your fairing off, this is what it's gonna look like underneath. All we are doing is removing all of these Phillips screws. You're gonna hold it upright like this because this will spill coolant out of that area. Removing all of this, and then we are going to take this assembly, put it on the inside of the carbon fiber one, and reinstall, and hopefully we don't have to modify any holes. Sometimes you do on carbon fiber stuff, but Moto Composites, from what I've seen, is pretty decent that's who I'm using for carbon fiber here, is all Moto Composite. All the bolts are out. Little side note, that is a smaller, or shorter rather, Phillips than these other Phillips, and it goes down there in the corner. All the other ones are the same size. So now we're just gonna separate this, and we do need to take out the little side fin that goes here as well. It has a bracket and a couple Phillips, and I'm not gonna reuse that. I'm gonna use these, and we'll go ahead and put those into the side fairings. All right, with these two separated, you can see the coolant tank stays in there. We're just gonna leave that all together because we're just gonna swap that directly over. This is the little plastic bracket that goes in there, and then two little Phillips that goes to that little piece there. And we need the bracket and the Phillips, and then it's gonna separate, but obviously I'm not using that. So that's all we need there is that, and then we can put all this back on the bike and start on the other side of it. So I don't have anything real technical for this, but it does feel like a good bit of weight savings. Let me give you guys a measurement. Kind of heavy. Not as heavy. We're gonna be gapping fools in no time for sure. That's lost like 35 pounds. Honestly, it is lighter, but it's, I mean, for the entire set of carbon fiber bearings, I would be astounded if I lost 2 to 3 pounds, to be honest with you guys. Like, it's a little bit lighter, but nothing crazy, mainly for looks. All right, guys, this is where we might have to do a little bit of fab. You're not gonna be able to tell on here, but those two holes line up very close. But let me actually take this out of here. So you see how these studs stick through there? Those studs are supposed to go through both of those holes, and while they're very, very, very close, this back one here just will not go through. So I think I'm just gonna widen this hole up a little bit with a Dremel, and that'll make it fit pretty good. I don't wanna break any of this carbon fiber. Perfect. All I did there was Dremel it out a little bit. Everything went in very nice. Now this is the part that it's gonna be kinda iffy on if everything lines up, is all of these lining up with all of those. I'm gonna set it in there and see how it does. If not, I may have to widen these holes a little bit, which is not a big deal. You know, I mean, carbon fiber is always close but not perfect. So let's see how this thing fits up. Okay, so I've got this thing laying on the new piece. I went ahead and drained the coolant tank reservoir just to make this easier and less messy. I'll fill it back up. Everything looks to line up pretty decent with the exception of these two. And that is actually that bracket there. So what I'm gonna do is take those two loose, try to move the bracket over and see if I can make this line up to where I don't have to drill any of these or widen the holes out basically. But if I do have to widen the holes out, it's not a big deal. I can just take a Dremel and kind of move the hole over a little bit. Not a big deal at all. So I'll go ahead and do that, get this thing all bolted down, and we're gonna go ahead and throw it back on the bike, see what it looks like with that new carbon fiber fairing on it. Couple final notes before I actually do put this in. I Dremeled these 3 holes out a little bit on the plastic side of it, which are actually these mounting locations that bolts go through, because they were close, but it looked like they were gonna give me a little bit of trouble when I mounted it. I went ahead and did that. The only other place I had to Dremel was for this one. I had to Dremel it out that way a little bit. Not a big deal. Like I said, for carbon fiber, this stuff actually fits pretty well. Let's see how it fits on the actual bike though. Little side note, when you guys are installing these, you can see right here, make sure that you get underneath and slide in to your front fairing, because if you do put this on and it's on the outside of the fairing, you get a really good shot at chipping the edge of that, and obviously it wouldn't be tucked into place properly. This thing dumped a little bit of coolant on the ground out of the overflow, no big deal at all. I'm gonna try to wipe this stuff up before I bolt it down. So here is a small fitment issue I'm running into. If you can see, that needs to be either elongated that way, or I need to push this whole thing with pressure forward, because if you can see, that guy right there needs to go into that hole. And Kawasaki's design for this little grommet is terrible The grommet should have had a bigger shoulder on the front, but it's the same size shoulder on the front and back. And when you push it in, it pushes the grommet out of the hole. So be wary of that. I'm gonna try to make this fit. If it feels like it's getting too much strain on it though, then I'm gonna go ahead and Dremel that out a hair just so it can go over top of that. But let's try to make it fit first. All right guys, game plan here. I'm just gonna take my Dremel and start dremeling on my extremely expensive carbon fiber and hope that this works out well. Basically, I'm gonna elongate that hole that way, and I might do this one. I don't know, I gotta see how close it is. I may use either a really small bit or a drill bit for that. Let's see how this goes. Wish me luck. It fits. Now, if I can just make this rubber grommet stay, that one is definitely gonna need a little bit of finagling as well though. I'll probably just use a drill bit for that one since it's so tight in there. So I'll go ahead and get this stuff bolted up and we'll see what this thing looks like sitting back at it. What I need to do is Dremel it a little bit. It's like a charm kinda, sorta, still really tight. It's really tight, man. Don't attempt this install if you don't have a Dremel. So everything is fitting. I will say that this thing is under some pressure. Definitely not OEM fit. Not horrible, but yeah, you definitely got to Dremel a few things. Another side note on this bolt in particular, put some blue Loctite on it. I have lost a couple of these, and you're also going to want to use your Allen and not your extension to put it in. Boom, first side's on. What do you guys think? Look pretty sick? Not bad quality. It matches the OEM carbon very nicely. It's a little tight here. I'm not 100% happy with that, but overall, I'd grade it like, you know, 9 out of 10 for fitment. Back here, definitely had to do a little bit of dremeling, but you gotta do that with all carbon fiber. So next thing, I'm gonna go ahead and take the front fender off, and then we'll flip the bike around and do the other side, and we'll see what the whole front end looks like. Pretty sick already though. I'm pretty stoked with this. All right, I got that yanked, and I'm not gonna lie, that kind of sucked to do. The front obviously was easy, but back here where those brackets were, they were actually riveted through these holes. So I had to drill them out, and it just wasn't fun. But the good news is I don't need those brackets when I am reinstalling this, just because of my intercooler. Because these things are so close to the heat exchanger back there, what I'm actually gonna do is end up zip tying them to the fork so that you don't have any chance of the heat exchanger getting hit and beat up with the brake lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the fender back on and then zip tie those to the forks, and we'll flip the bike around. It's looking pretty sick, guys. Not gonna lie, really digging it. So carbon fiber, carbon fiber, carbon fiber. You know how it is around here, all carbon fiber. I can't wait until the entire bike is carbon, but I'm gonna go ahead and flip this thing around and we're gonna do the other fairing. Pretty well same story as the other side. Just have your 5mm, your 3mm, take all these out, take your one little pop underneath there, your little plastic rivet, whatever you wanna call it. This whole thing will come off. Now there are 2 wires you unplug, and then it's the same deal as the other side. Pretty easy. Easy peasy. So this is actually what prompted me to do this entire build. When I bought this bike, I bought it used, but it had 200 miles. I bought it from a collector out of California and had it shipped to me in Ohio. And Haul Bikes held the bike for, I think it was about 4 months shipping it. And and damaged it in a few places, this being one of them. And I'm still yet to be paid by them. I don't think they're gonna pay the bill, so I'd like to throw that out there. Never use Haul Bikes to ship any motorcycle ever, but we're gonna go ahead and rip this thing down and start swapping the inside over to that one. So one method I do like using when I am laying these out and dremeling them is I use a silver Sharpie and I mark the hole what way I need to Dremel it. That way I can lay it out once, see everywhere I need to Dremel, and just shave a little bit off the whole thing, lay it on, and it's good to go. All right guys, moment of truth. Do we need to Dremel more? The side lines up pretty good, not gonna lie. Spoke a little too soon. I'm gonna need to do a little bit of Dremel in here. What you want to do is Dremel your carbon fiber in a way that you can hide the fact that you had to Dremel your carbon fiber. Yeah. Well guys, front end's all done. Looks sick. Not gonna lie, very, very excited about this. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe the bike down and take it outside, and we'll go out there and take a look at it out in the sun, if there is much sun. But God, this thing looks sick with all carbon on the front. All right, let's get this thing outside. Well guys, unfortunately the sun is going down, so we don't have a ton of light, but holy crap, this thing looks so good. Whole front end, carbon fiber. I need to wash this thing, but golly. I can't wait to get the rest of the carbon on. Whoo-wee. I removed that lower piece as well that was blocking all that. Yeah, this thing's gonna look so good with all carbon fiber. That Van Diemen looks sick, man. Yeah, so I'm doing all this carbon, the dash, these pieces carbon, these pieces are gonna be carbon. I already have the entire tail section, new decals for the tail, the lower hugger, I already have that. And man, this thing is gonna look sick. Well guys, thanks for watching as always. Let me know what you thought of the install video. Part 2 is coming soon of the back, and we're going to be doing that in all carbon fiber with the hugger, and also my Austin Racing exhaust, my belly exit came in for the MT10, so we'll be doing that soon. As always, drop a like on the video, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching guys.